Good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time of day it is. Hello, friends.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentle-thems. This is Beefy.
And this is Bobbie.
And this is a little show called Shooting the Shit with Beefy and Bobbie. Today, we have a very excellent episode of Shooting the Shit today. Today is our promo episode for
A little ditty called
Mr. Burns, a post-electric play that is debuting at Dean College next week. So when you hear this, it'll be on Thursday, and I am super duper excited. I am playing Mr. Burns, and I am super duper excited for this role. It's been a long time coming for this show, and I'm super duper excited to see it through.
And joining us today on the podcast, we have the amazing assistant director and the director himself on the podcast, Zion Hall and Mr. Andrew Gallant.
Woo-hoo. Professor Andrew Gallant.
Sorry.
Use his name.
I know. Put some respect on his name.
Put some respect on his name.
Professor.
Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty great.
Yeah.
Pretty great, yeah?
I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah.
Long time coming.
So, a little...
We need a better shtick.
Yeah. We're good.
It's all good.
Once we warm up, we'll warm up. You
Oh
know,
yeah. We got you. We got you. We've been around the podcasting block for a little bit. So it has been an absolute joy working on the show with both of you. This has been a really cool experience, and I can't wait for people to see it. It's a wacky show, isn't it, Bobbie?
I'm very excited. I've read the script, and we have produced this play once before, virtually on our old series of virtual plays, Work Your Craft. And so I'm a little familiar with it, but I'm so excited. I will be seeing the show in total 4 times.
Yeah, support the homies, support local artists. But before we get into anything really Mr. Burns wise, I want to talk about our 2 amazing guests. So I figured we could start things off with Zion. Now, a little backstory: Zion has wanted to be on the podcast since we created it.
Before the first episode.
Yeah, before the first
put that out there.
episode, and he's been a little mad at us for delaying his episode for so long, but we're very excited to finally have you on, Zion.
Very excited and very grateful for all the support since before day one.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I'm gonna forgive you guys. I'm finally here. I'm just glad to be here. I don't know what else you want.
Awesome. So you as a performer, you have quite an extensive background in regards to your stage presence. We love you. We know how talented you are, and we've seen you do stuff. But you want to just give us like a couple of shows, like your proudest show moments?
Yeah, I guess for me, please, I just don't even sit and think about this.
So humble.
No, sometimes. But for real, my favorite moment performance-wise probably would be when I played Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yes.
That was probably that was in high school.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, that show was really fun. That was like my first like lead. And it was great. Most recently, my first professional gig was Gilligan and Gilligan's Island the musical, which has probably like the highlight of my career for sure. Probably the biggest thing I've done. Well, it is not probably like it's my
as of right now. As of right now, I consider assistant directing a pretty big hat to wear.
Too. Oh, for Mr. Burns, Mr. Burns, it's up there. They're neck and neck.
But I do have to ask, there is one specific show that you've done that I want to comment on.
Okay.
2 shows, actually. So we bonded over the fact that we were both Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast. And in the theater community, that is a red flag. But you were in A Star Kid.
Yes.
Is Oregon Trail a musical? It's a musical.
Tread Oregon, yeah.
Tread Oregon?
Yeah, it's Star Kid musical.
It's a musical, okay.
And I did that one virtually, so it was my first virtual musical.
Yeah.
It was a full production of it. I did it with Ghostlex Ghostlight Theatricals. It actually was through a TikTok audition.
No way.
Yeah, I auditioned.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was great. I played Grandpa / Cletus Jones. Very camp of me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask what it was like working on a Star Kid show, because like Star Kid is like the infamous underdogs of the theater world. So in regards to that, what was that experience like?
For me, I actually like am not like I knew we got work to do. I don't want to do the work to you.
Firebringer,
I watched Firebringer and I really loved it. But besides that, I'm not really into like those types of musicals. But then like I saw like the TikTok ad and I'm like, oh, this is cool, and I can do a musical virtually at home. I'm like, maybe I'll do it. So
never miss an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. And then we start like rehearsing for the show. I'm like, this is so funky. There's just like so many like random moments, but it was honestly, like thinking back, it was definitely a challenge that I feel like I haven't. It's like the comedy side that I really love, and I feel like recently besides like this past year, I've been doing a lot of more serious roles, and especially with just the seriousness of like the pandemic and everything, just being able to just like let loose and do something completely wacky was great. I loved playing the role. I loved the experience. I also got to like really network with people from across the country because it was virtual. So
that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
It's that. I think that was like the big thing with like all those virtual productions was like getting people across from like the world, getting to know each other, which was really, really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially in this business, I like to say it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you.
Right.
And so now your name is all across the country.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yep. Literally.
So yeah, that's. Who knows where that could lead?
And you just have a great personality too, so it's like it works out that one of the nicest people is also worldwide known worldwide.
And then speaking of people who've worked and have their name across the country, Professor Andrew Gallant here.
Yeah.
I'm known in like 2 zip codes.
I think you're known in a couple more than that.
Yeah.
Andrew, Professor Gallant is, a newer member of the faculty. You've been here for, almost like what?
I'm going on 2.
Going on 2?
Wow.
Yeah.
For 2020.
Yeah. Wow. Time flies.
Yeah.
Time freaking flies.
2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That
Yep.
sounds
Right before. Oh yeah. During. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Keep that.
But Mr. Burns is only your second show here, and that quite an undertaking for your second show. But Clybourne, which Robbie stage managed, and Zion was in. I'm the only one who wasn't involved with Clybourne Park here, but that was also an amazing production, and Mr. Burns is going to be an amazing production. But let's talk about you and your extensive experience, because you've been to the Windy City. You lived in the Windy City. So what was your working on your theater company like?
Yeah, so
Shout out Green Shirt Project.
well, I've got 2 actually.
Oh, he's got 2.
I'm one of those people that starts way too many things. Finishes too few. So I started out as an actor, and I went to school for acting, and I got a bachelor's in theater, and then right out of school I went to UW-Madison, and then I went to right after school I auditioned for a graduate program, or a bunch of different graduate programs, but I got accepted to Liverpool, the Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts, which I was accepted there, and then a couple other places, and I just said, Liverpool sounded the most interesting, so I went to Liverpool for a year, and I got to shake Paul McCartney's hand at the end of it. I swear, I did.
Wow.
And he played like a 3-hour set for about 60 of us.
Oh my God.
At the end, like on the night of graduation. It was pretty amazing just to watch like Sir Paul go, anybody got a guitar? And somebody was like, get a guitar, get a guitar, get a guitar. And then he just played for 3 hours at this graduation. And then after that, I moved to Texas for a couple of years, and I worked in Texas professionally. That's where I got my equity card, and I worked. I did a lot of work with the Austin Shakespeare Festival down there. Did a couple of seasons with them, and did an internship with another regional theater company. And then like halfway through my last year in Austin, I was very aware of my own blocks as an actor and the things that I kept running into. And the ways that I was not able to live up to the kind of work that I wanted to do. And so I started to get the bug for grad school again, and I ended up auditioning for grad school and auditioned. And again, got accepted into a few different places. But the place that was actually supposed to be my warm-up audition, I used this as my like launch for the audition season, was DePaul in Chicago. Right. And I walked into the room and I felt at home immediately, you know, and the people, the just the vibe of the place, the way that they auditioned, it just very much gelled with my philosophy and what I was looking for. I got into grad school. I did grad school. I graduated, and I stayed in Chicago for about 15 years after that. And I went into school thinking that I wanted to be sort of a regional theater jobbing actor around the country. I thought that would be like the pinnacle thing to do.
That's where I was at too.
I had my equity card. I was excited about like, ooh, I can go and like I can get union gigs and I can do all of this stuff and I can get health care if I work 20 weeks and all of that. You know, that was like honestly a big thing I was thinking about. And then I went to school, and what I learned in school was that that acting, while a huge part of what I wanted to do and a huge drive and core interest of mine, that I had these other things and these other proclivities that I wanted to explore. And a lot of that was devising work. I did 2 like very long, intense workshops with the Tectonic Theater Project, who are the people behind Laramie Project and Gross Indecency, if you know those plays. And so I worked with some of the original ensemble members that went into Laramie after that event and did the interviews and you know, and the way that they create theater is just so inspiring and beautiful. And so after I graduated, well, let me back up. Simultaneously, as I was finishing grad school, I also knew that I had to like graduate and have a job. Right. So I got into my head that I should figure out something to teach, and the Meisner technique was something that I always really loved and gravitated towards. And so I started looking up to see if there was any kind of certification program for that. And lo and behold, I found that Larry Silverberg, who wrote a bunch of workbooks on the Meisner technique and studied with Sandy Meisner and got permission to write those workbooks, he had his first year, or the first ever class of his teacher training program. And so like in the summer between my second and third year of grad school, and then again after I graduated from grad school, I spent the summer immersing myself in the Meisner technique and learning how to teach it. And so out of that, I ended up forming my first company, which was Green Shirt Studio, which is a for-profit acting studio in Chicago that was really sprung from my hope and desire to bring that work, which I think honestly the Meisner technique is the thing that I've discovered. Meisner gets a bad rap a lot of places. It really does, because there is, and part of that's because Sandy Meisner himself was kind of a gruff guy at times, and he was known for the occasional like saying terrible things and throwing things and all of that. But then the work itself, the thing that I discovered is that the work itself really asks everybody who engages with it a very fundamental. There's a fundamental challenge in the work, which is simply this: just to be more human. Be more human, be more alive, be more present, be more active in what you're doing. And so I really love that, and I really love that the Meisner technique starts at the beginning, and you could kind of do it with anybody. And so that was really where Green Shirt started, was the idea that I could bring that training and this thing that I really loved to as many people as possible, people that were not actors originally, and so
start somewhere.
yeah, and so I formed that, and I started teaching classes, and it started picking up a little bit. And then one day I looked around my classroom, and I realized that I had in the classroom a bunch of people who had never acted before, except in my class. But I had 2 accountants, I had a lawyer, I had a marketing person, and then I also had a public relations person. And I was like, y'all look like the board of a theater company to me.
That is
So
in
I
fact-
said, hey, like,
that's really the
let's go and do some paperwork. What do you say? And I said, like, let's do it. And they were all so excited, and that's what we did. We formed a theater company, and we brought all these different people that had different backgrounds and different jobs, really, and we formed a theater company, and I produced work with my theater company, a bunch of devised shows for 15 years.
That's
And
amazing.
it was great.
And you've also written work yourself. We read one of your plays for directing, which was very, very good.
I didn't get
thank
to
you.
do that when I.
Yeah, I also didn't get to do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, what can I say? I've always loved writing. I think writing, I mean, those of you that have taken acting class with me, Zion, you're learning that writing is a core part of my core part of my training, and that's Meisner work, that's Larry, I've always really loved writing, and I've loved figuring out what drives people, and so I ended up I wrote and produced 3 full-length plays. One that's kind of a musical. It's actually kind of like a punk rock musical. I mean, punk rock, sort of.
Sort of.
Dark rock, edgy rock. Definitely a punk aesthetic. So I wrote a play. The first play that I produced that was my, that I created was something called Out of Tune Confessional, which was essentially a punk lounge act that was derived from songs written by a friend of mine that I met through another show I produced, and we just hit it off, and I loved his songs so much. And then I did a play called I Wish to Apologize to the People of Illinois, which was rooted in a true story of the Chicago politician, Illinois politician, or I shouldn't say politician. He's never actually run for anything. But he's been a political operative, a guy named Stuart Levine, who at the height of his power was worth $70 million, but then he ended up getting flipped and turned state's witness after he was throwing all sorts of drug-fueled sex parties at a hotel in Lincolnwood, Illinois, and the FBI caught wind of that, and they used it to flip him on everybody. And so he was like the first domino that ended up going down to Rod Blagojevich, the governor Rod Blagojevich, to him going down. That wouldn't have gone down without Stuart Levine. And so I had some access to him and his cohort of people, and I was able to do some interviews and so I created this play about him, and he had been worth $70 million, and this is the amazing thing about that, is he was worth $70 million, and then by the end, right before he ended up going and surrendering to go to federal prison for 5 years, he was selling electronic cigarettes at a kiosk in a suburban mall. Literally, that's what he's doing. I was like, this is the most amazing. This is like Greek tragic, and it's a fascinating story. And then I also, the year after that, I did a play called At the Center, which was about wrongful convictions and the lawyers that work to overturn wrongful convictions. And we did a year worth of work interviewing people and figuring out how that world works and what people go through who suffer these grave injustices. And I had opening night, we had 30 exonerees in the room, people who had spent collectively over 500 years in prison for things that they hadn't actually done. 15, 20 years a pop. Unbelievable. And it was an attempt to sort of tell that story and what the human toll is of that kind of miscarriage of justice. So anyway, that was a very long answer to a
No,
short question. But
it was a perfect answer.
Wonderful
It was everything we could have ever asked for. I remember you coming into sub one of our classes, and I was just like enthralled with what you were saying, because it's like you really lived like multiple lives.
I've done it all
throughout your lifetime. Like,
I could tell stories for sure.
seen the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Of theater, I'm sure, and the good, the bad, and definitely the ugly.
Definitely the ugly.
Awesome. I'm super excited that you guys are here.
Me too.
So do we want to dig a little bit into some birds?
Yeah, sure.
action?
Yeah.
You thought that answer was long. I can go on a long time about Mr. Burns.
Well, one thing I'm curious about is the selection process of Mr. Burns, because like it seemed, at least for me, that it was very convenient that a lot of places in the surrounding area were also doing it. Trinity Brown did it. And, you know, a couple other places were doing it as well. So I'm curious as to, you know, what the thought process about picking it was.
Honestly, that had nothing to do with it. I didn't know anything about those productions before I floated that as the title that I wanted to do. There's a lot of things that go into it, of course, but there's something about the play that I think right now, it was originally done in 2012. That was the original production of it at Playwrights Horizons, or one of the first iterations of it at Playwright Horizons. And in 2012, I think it was a cool play, a really interesting play that had a lot of interesting ideas in it. And I think in 2023 or in 2022, when I reread it and looked at it again, it has taken on this whole other resonance, which is like people in the face of uncertainty and tragedy and like immeasurable loss, using story and like familiar pop culture as a means of like engaging with each other and soothing themselves and like processing the world and reading it, again. I had seen a production of it in Chicago that I really liked. But reading it again, I just felt, oh my God, this is like the perfect play for us to do right now. Unbelievable. And then on top of that, for us here at Dean, we have something that most places that do it don't, and certainly most professional theaters don't have access to this, which is a bunch of people who are eager to do the work that I could, like, in Act 3, expand the chorus to be this bigger thing and make it a bigger part, because in professional theater that you're constrained, you have to double it, and you have to because you can't afford to pay that many people. But here it provided all this opportunity for all sorts of different people, and we also have this very strong musical theater group, which is, I think the play is not a musical, and yet Act 3 is a musical, And so
it literally
and
is.
so we just, I was like, this is the perfect thing. We have a bunch of opportunity for people, and then we can harness all of that great energy that you have and the talent that you all have in terms of music and being able to like music direct and choreograph each other. And I really thought that that's important for the storytelling, because it's about the formation on a low-key level. It is about the formation of a theater company.
Yes, it is.
And how that lasts over 75 years.
And what that's like to build a theater company.
Sometimes it feels like 750 years. Those dark nights when you're writing grants at like 3 a.m. But this is a world without grants in Mr. Burns. So anyway, so those things were really behind it.
So like you had said, 2012 versus 2022, everything that happened in the middle of that, you're so right, where it takes on a completely different meaning from 2012. So hearing from Andrew, Zion, did you ask to be on the production, or did you get asked to be on the production?
So okay, funny story.
I'm not judging these.
No.
I want to know what you think of the show and stuff.
I mean, like, I'm not gonna go into like complete depth, cause I don't want to like gear off brand. But also I want to make a PSA, because this is the only time I'll compliment Andrew on this. So yeah, I definitely have been just like reflecting on just like ways that I could enhance the way that I just like can take things away from my experience at Dean. And I feel like I have had experience elsewhere in just like the production side. I've been assistant director, assistant producer on other projects at Dean, and I really, really wanted to try being a part of like a bigger and longer process of it. And I was given, like, when asked about assistant directing for this upcoming year, I was given the choice of like direction of talking to either Jim or Andrew. And I have worked with Andrew on Clybourne, and I've had him directing, and I just from the relationship that Andrew and I formed, just as he's been like a really big part of my last 2 years here as a professor and a mentor, and how much knowledge and energy and how much he cares about the process and giving the show of what it was of Mr. Burns. I was like, it was without a question I needed to be a part of it. And me and him talked over the summer, and I just was like, okay, like I was like behind the scenes. I was just
you were in from
yeah. I was like, I'll do whatever I can. Do whatever I can.
No question.
Yeah, no question at all. Like, but it was ultimately up to Andrew.
But honestly, there was no question about it. I mean, because I'd worked design on Clybourne, and you know, for those of you that don't know Clybourne Park or didn't see it last year, if you're listening to us from Dean, it's a really challenging play on a bunch of different levels, and you know, that was something that I really value that in the room as a director, somebody that we can like sit in the discomfort of things and have conversations about it and work our way through it together, and not, you know, and I knew that Zion was that kind of collaborator. So when Zion came to me, I was like, thank goodness. Thank goodness. I got somebody in the room that'll step up like that. And it was great. It was great.
Sweet. So, you know, with this show, with your devising background and your work with Meisner, you know, this show, you said from the very beginning that this was going to be a very collaborative process. So at least like from your perspective, like what were you thinking going into the process about the collaboration, and, you know, how much does it take to really step back and really be like, all right, you guys go figure it out?
Yeah. It's honestly, it's hard. It's really hard. Like I literally, I have to extract myself from the room most of the time, because I see so many ideas and I go, ooh, that. Let's do that. And what I've learned over the years is that sometimes, like, there's a time for that, right? There is a time for that, but then there is a time for just the mess making, and that becomes a really important thing. And stuff will come out of the mess making that could not come out of highly structured, rigorous, you know, like top-down directorial stuff. And there's a kind of group intelligence and a physical group intelligence that happens in a room of people that are collaborating and willing to take that risk to step into things. That's not to say that it's easy at all, because you know, there'll be people that step into it and you know, I think particularly in an environment like this where we haven't done a lot of that kind of work, and most of us, I shouldn't say most of us, most of you, sorry, this is not really, it's just I'm not young, you are young. You are young, and you're relatively close to high school, and those kinds of environments tend to be sort of top-down, authoritarian,
very strict,
dictatorial, you know, and so, you know, removing that kind of structure leads a little bit to chaos. Yeah. And some chaos is good, and some chaos can be uncomfortable.
I think it's necessary, though.
I think so, too. I'm also, you know, having spent 15 years putting on my own shows in Chicago, like, when literally you just can't afford to have more than a day for load-in and tech, you know, and we open the next night, like, a little bit of... There's an energy that comes out of that can be really valuable, you know, and for this show in particular, because the show is literally about a theater company putting on a play, and Act 2 is a rehearsal for a play that they're about to put on that night that ends very badly.
Meta.
And you know,
so
it really is.
Someone said it yesterday.
It is. And what's amazing about it is that, like, there was a day when we were working on Act 2, and it was like we had been working on it all day, and people were frustrated. And then we did the scene that was like all about the fact that they've been working on a play all day, and they were frustrated. And I go, that's the thing.
it.
That's the energy.
That's it.
Like this conversation we're having right now in the room about the thing that we're doing
Yes.
is actually the thing that's happening in the
Exactly
thing.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That
That
first
frustration.
week
Yeah.
that we were there, I was like, we're literally living the play. Is this
That's
play about
right.
us?
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. I mean, Anne Washburn is a very brilliant writer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever. She has another play called 10 out of 12, which is literally about a tech rehearsal. It's literally a tech rehearsal.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And like the stage manager is like managing the audience and all of that. It's a really cool play.
I love theater about theater.
Yeah,
Plays
for
about
sure.
plays.
Yeah.
Oh my god, my favorite play of all time.
Noise is off.
Noise
For
Off,
sure.
another great one.
It's such a beautiful play about such big things, but it also uses something that's very familiar to all of us, which is like, how do we put on a show?
Yeah.
And explores these big things in the context of performers and designers and writers and actors.
And then, not to mention, not only is it like you said, a thing that we already know, but of course it draws from one of the most popular pieces of pop culture ever.
Yes.
The one of the greatest animated cartoons of all time.
Yeah.
If not the greatest.
And
The
still
Simpsons.
running. I remember when it
Yeah.
started in 1991. I remember the first season coming out, and I just turned 10, I think.
A cultural reset. It was a cultural reset.
Yeah, for sure.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Going back to the devising for a second, I think that's probably been like my favorite part of this whole experience is like combining everyone's like, because we basically all have one brain cell, like we're all tired, we're all drained, so putting all of our one brain cells together and figuring out, how we're gonna do this has been like super cool to experience, because you start, like you said, like high school being like super strict, we don't really get much say. We do what the director tells us to do, but when the director is telling us to be like, hey, go off and figure it out, like how can we not listen, so that's been like a really, really cool experience for me. So thank you for implementing that, because it's just going to make the meaning of the piece that much more poignant.
And it's, this is not.
It wouldn't be.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it wouldn't be yours. It wouldn't be your piece.
That's
right.
exactly.
That's right.
And especially since it's like Mad Libs.
Yeah.
Like looking at that script, it was like Mad Libs.
Yeah.
Like figuring out like where to put what and what to put where. Like
Well, and I mean, you saw one production of the show. I've seen two productions of the show in the last year, and totally different.
Very.
And
Yeah.
I saw another one, 7 years ago, whatever that is, and that one was vastly different. And then the same company that did that one 7 years ago just put it on again in Chicago, and it was totally different from a different director. And it's one of those things that it's like there is a mirror kind of energy to it that is reflective of where you are and who you're doing it with. And, the context of the thing, because at the core of it, this is the thing, is that the themes at its heart are some of the most universally human, cross-cultural themes of anything. I mean, it's not a play about The Simpsons. I say this in my director's note. It's not a play about The Simpsons.
You
It
got
totally
me with that director's note.
You got everyone.
It's about. Yeah, I mean, story is the essence of being a human being. We organize the world that way. We think about, like where we fit into the metaphysical hierarchy of the universe, like through story. We look at the stars and we say, "Oh, look, that's a crab," or that's and it's like, and then we tell stories about
Andrew is not a zodiac believer.
Oh God.
What am I? I'm an Aries with a
You're
Gemini
Aries.
rising. Something like that.
And Gemini moon. A Gemini moon.
All right, hold on, Heather
Before
Page.
first rehearsal.
Heather Page, where are you at?
Heather Page, your episode is coming. I think we're gonna.
She's waiting. Oh, she's waiting.
Heather's episode will just be her reading our charts.
just telling us how much we suck.
I mean, Cancer and Aquarius.
Yeah.
We love Aquarius.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cancer. Anyways.
So, Zion, as your position as assistant director, what's it like, with this whole process, and where between you and Andrew, where have things kind of like fit in regards to your duties and what you're trying to achieve?
I mean, I didn't expect. Andrew has allowed this process to be very collaborative. He's always just it doesn't feel like I'm working under him. I've been working with him. We are I always say me and Andrew are one, because we are. We literally are. Every time I say something, he's like, I was literally gonna say the same thing. It's just
you guys are a dynamic duo.
Yeah. And all the good and all the bad. That's true. But no. I think that's been something that was I didn't expect that. I expected to I think sometimes another experience where if you're the AD on something, you just you do what you're told, not that you actually have a voice. So it was it was kind of everything that Mr. Burns is already. Is that I felt like I had a place in this production. I felt
your voice matters.
My voice mattered in it as well as everyone else's.
Yeah.
For me, I think one thing that I wanted to bring up earlier is it's been very beautiful just to watch. This show has provided a lot of opportunity for a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Putting them in different lights that they haven't really had the chance to do that yet at Dean. And I think that it's very for my position, being with a lot of them for 3-4 years, watching them grow and watching them have that moment is very beautiful.
Absolutely.
It makes this experience even more, just to be the outside eye and to be that outside cheerleader outside, just watching it come to life and help guide it alongside Andrew. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, because you really had a front row seat to everything.
Oh, literally,
both of you guys seeing the whole thing go from a script to being run for the first time all the way through last night.
I mean, remember the auditions? I remember the auditions. What came out of the auditions was so glorious.
The callbacks.
Oh, man.
That was one of the best
Fantastic.
audition and callback experiences I've ever been a part of, and to be able to showcase our musical talents as well, doing the singing portion and then doing the musical instrument portion, oh my god, that was awesome.
I think it's worth us flipping the script a little bit here and just being Ethan, you in the room has been you've
this
been
is not my episode.
I don't care.
It is now. It's Beefy and
Bobbie. Your role, you stepped up as a choreographer, as a music director, and as a heart of the play.
Heart of the play.
And that's a big thing to step in, and you've been a part of it, and with that kind of audition process, what you're looking for. I knew there was plenty of talent. I didn't know that there was necessarily plenty of people that wanted to step up.
Yeah.
You know? And you were one of the people that really stepped up from the beginning. And as a result, you'll those of you that come and check it out, you'll see it in the program. The Act 2 medley, that is that is Ethan and Delaney and Haley. And
Delaney and Haley.
Yeah, y'all put on, you created this thing that would not have existed. I've seen 2 different productions of this show in the last year, and it did not look like that.
That's really the beauty of it. It's
for
built
sure.
it from the ground up.
It was beautiful, just the fact, Ethan and Haley and Delaney, just the fact that we just threw so much at them, and they just brought it to life.
And the chorus and the Act 3, Act 3 sound, just musically, sounds unbelievably gorgeous. With no outside music director, with no outside musicians, accompanying. And that's one of the things that I'm the most proud of. Not because when I say proud, I'm not saying proud because I made it happen. I'm saying proud of just the fact that the space itself engendered this thing where all of you stepped up and helped each other.
It came from within.
Sound beautiful. It's it's the best. It's the best. It is the reason I do theater.
And I
the
think
reason I love it.
with that too, it this emphasized that all of you guys have so many different things about yourselves that you bring to the table that this amplifies it. It just makes it like,
where some people have like a certain niche for something, other people are lacking, but then they bring it in like it's like a flip flop, and it works because everybody brings something.
It's like a puzzle, like everything.
It is a day by day, a day by day living of the expression "you complete me." You know? What I mean? It's like hive mind, crowdsource. Life.
We were the living embodiment of a chat room making the medley and
we are everything that Twitter should have been. Everything Twitter should have been.
Right.
We are in the Mr. Burns cast.
Mr. Burns, it's Twitter.
Oh my God.
It's like positive Twitter. Positive Twitter.
Positive Twitter.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I've just been so grateful for this production, and what a way to go out to because obviously other
Are you
than
graduating?
Yeah.
Are you graduating?
I'm knocking on wood. I gotta send in my graduation application.
Hopefully you get in, man.
I'm praying at this point. The way my biology grade is looking right now.
I mean, good luck next year.
Yeah, thanks.
D's get degrees, bro.
D's get
That's
degrees.
right.
That's what I'm saying. But I've just been so grateful for you, and I can definitely speak on behalf of the entire cast. You guys have made this process so much easier and more enjoyable than we could have ever asked for. So know that your hard work as well is not unnoticed, and we love and appreciate both of you. But now that we're coming towards the end of our hour, I just want to ask. So, since even though this is not a play about The Simpsons, I'm curious as to if you guys have any characters that you guys identify with personally. Whether it's the show version or if it's the cartoon version of them. Who do you really connect with in regards to the play or the show?
Oh god.
Loaded question, right?
I have so one cat. I don't. They do what they need to do, but this character I feel represents me. A little bit. Not to a T, but I really resonate with Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa is an overachiever. She works hard. She holds her own, and she. We also talked about. Isn't she younger? Isn't she younger?
She's the younger.
She's a younger sibling, and I always thought she was older.
I always thought she was older.
Yeah, just by the way she holds herself, and I feel I don't know. I just love her energy. But that's that's the question.
So in the play, I would say that I'm a Colleen. I think that's.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, are we talking about?
Either one.
So, in the play, I'm Colleen,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because I feel like Colleen is there's something that's one of the arcs of the show for me is Colleen's searching for purpose. Certainly at the beginning, and this sounds sadder than I mean it to sound, but is grieving, and it has found some loss, and that's something that I've definitely experienced in my life, but where she finds that is in the community of people that she
persevering through the
brings
grief
together, and that she's really the glue of, I think, in many ways. And I say this in my acting classes a lot of time when I talk about spine phrase, which is the deeper wish, the thing that drives all of us. I like to think of us as all having a spine phrase, something that lives way down in us, that is our core mission statement, our DNA. And I think mine has always been to build community. I really think that's been the thing, and it's a double-edged sword, because when you're building community, you feel great. Or when I'm building community, I feel great, and when I feel like I'm not connected to a community or I'm not a part of it, I can feel really sad. And I think that's really in Colleen. As far as The Simpsons, though, there's something about Otto, the school bus driver.
Yeah.
Now I drive the school bus.
That guy.
He pulled out the impression. That's awesome.
Pretty good.
That's so good.
I mean, I'm saying that he's like, he's got a little chip on his shoulder, a little bit of like,
I have another
a little bit of edge, but also, like heart of gold, loves those kids. You know what I mean? Like that. I feel like
I got you.
I feel like I'm driving the school bus.
Oh God.
Did you want to say a show character?
Yeah, from the show. Okay, like I have two, because they like just go hand in hand. I feel like I relate to both of them on different ways. So like Jenny's just unapologetically herself. Jenny doesn't hold back. I just love her energy, and she also is. She's always down to like pick at someone and like just I think she's very detail oriented.
Yeah.
She really. I understand her. I really understand her. She's all about the details, and that's just me. But Maria is, she just has my heart. She is so sweet. She's so loving. She has like innocence to her. She also can be like the last one to the party with a couple things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's me. I'm like, oh, I remember that. And no, so those characters are definitely my two faves, but
They are also like the two like comedic relief type characters. It's like it's them for the girls, and then it's like Matt for the guys. It's Matt and Sam for the guys, and then Colleen and Gibson are kind of like the
they make you cry.
They make you cry, and then Quincy comes in and she kind of plays like the devil's advocate, which is funny because that's like Haley's personality too. But I was actually gonna say that I relate probably to Quincy the most out of everybody. Not in the diva aspect of Quincy, but in the like let's just make art. Let's just
right.
Let's
do our job.
Let's do our job. Let's do it. Let's do it well, and then leave. And let's
you have that professional energy for sure.
I try at least. But for like the Simpsons TV show, I don't know. I think.
Oh, you know
What do you think I'm gonna say?
I just want to know who.
Oh, well, who do you think I am? No, I was gonna say I think I'm like a Milhouse type, kind of like, cause like he can be very outgoing, but also he's like got that kind of nerdy like sensitive side.
Like
so.
confident Millhouse is one of the most fun things.
Yeah. When he puts the Riz on for Lisa, like.
He really does.
He puts on the Milhouse Riz.
When he like combs his hair over and he has like a little boot in the ear going. Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah, that's so Ethan.
Hey.
Do you have a Simpsons character you relate to, Bobby?
Oh man, look at me. I'm a homer.
But don't even like knock on Homer, because like you gotta admit like Homer and Marge's relationship is probably like one of the most like peak relationships out of like cartoon history. I'd put them well above like Peter and Lois and like sure. Jerry and Beth, like well above them. But yeah, like, you're like the goofy side of Homer. You're not like the I'm gonna strangle you. Yeah, the lovable side of Homer, for sure.
I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, so this has been the Mr. Burns promo episode. Mr. Burns premieres on Thursday, February 23rd to the 26th. Super excited. I hope you guys are just as excited as the rest of us, because I can speak for the cast and say that we're all super psyched. Any last minute thoughts, Bobby?
As the only one in this room who has not been in the Mr. Burns room with y'all, I'm very, very excited to see it. Like I said, I'll be seeing it 4 times in total. Me and the rest of the cast and crew of Pippin will be attending your final dress to support you guys and give you all the love. And then I, selfishly, got myself tickets for Friday, Saturday night, and the closing, the matinee, in each different section of our house, so that way I can really get the most immersive experience. And I'm very excited, and I'm very proud of my friends who are all in this. And I, like we mentioned earlier, I've worked with Andrew in the past, and I know he does great work. So my final thought and thing to say is Go see Mr. Burns.
Please
And
do.
also, not to foreshadow anything, but Bobby is stage managing Pippin, premiering in March. So we will definitely have a Pippin specific episode. Maybe we'll get Jim, and who's the AD?
That's Miss Cordelia Dorsey.
Yeah.
Cordelia. Oh yeah, we'll get both of them on. Yeah, it'll be a good time, and we'll have you. So it'll be great.
Yeah, we guess we'll help out.
Yeah, but thank you so much to our amazing guests. I'm so glad we could finally get you guys
Yeah,
on.
thank you.
Zion, sorry it took so long,
It's okay.
but better late than
Better
never.
late than never.
Any last
to wait.
thoughts for you guys?
No, I just want to thank you guys for having us on, and
Yeah.
I just want to say once again for the record that Zion has been such a dream to work with,
Yeah.
and great collaborator, and I'm utterly grateful for that. Not to mention you too, Ethan. I mean, you're both such great collaborators. But I just wanted to go down especially. I'm here trying to make Zion tear up. That's no, just it's been,
Zion
it's
really
been the
has
best.
been
It's the
awesome.
best. Yeah,
Really.
it's been the best. So much fun.
You're our advocate for for sure. You definitely speak for the public.
Yeah,
For
And
sure.
I always have you guys' best.
Always,
interest at hand.
always, and that's very commendable.
Not me explaining my actions, but likewise, Andrew.
Ditto.
No, he's amazing. He no one. I don't think anyone else could do it. I don't think anyone else could direct a show like this.
Thank you.
It's absolutely beautiful, the work that he has done.
Absolutely.
And thank you for allowing us to just
Yes.
create and
Yes. Absolutely.
providing just the amount of opportunities that you do and letting us all feel special in that space and allowing us to grow.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Come see the show.
Come see the show. Thank you guys so much. This is Beefy,
And this is Bobby.
and this is Shooting the Shit with Beefy and Bobbie.